Should couples be open about past relationships? It's a question that seems simple on the surface, yet it carries the weight of memory, insecurity, growth, trust, and love. It's a question that can spark deep connection or quiet fear. And it's one that almost every couple, whether new or long established, eventually faces in some form. Because when two people come together, they don't arrive as blank pages. They arrive as stories already written. They bring experiences, scars, lessons, mistakes, triumphs, heartbreaks, and moments that shaped who they are long before they met. And the question is not whether those past relationships exist. They do. The real question is how we relate to them now, and how we allow them to live, or not live, inside our present love. Openness about past relationships is not about curiosity or confession. It is not about reliving old chapters or measuring yourself against ghosts. At its best, it is about honesty, emotional safety, and understanding the human being you've chosen to love. But at its worst, it can become comparison, insecurity, and unnecessary pain. So how do we navigate this delicate space with wisdom, compassion, and maturity? First, we must understand this truth. Every past relationship, whether it ended beautifully or painfully, played a role in shaping the person you love today. The patience they show, the boundaries they hold, the fears they carry, the way they argue, the way they apologize, the way they love deeply or cautiously. None of that appeared out of nowhere. It was formed over time, through experiences that taught them what worked and what didn't, what hurt and what healed. When you love someone, you are loving the sum of their journey, not just the chapter that includes you. And refusing to acknowledge that journey does not erase it. It only makes it harder to understand. Openness, when approached with care, can be a bridge rather than a barrier. But here is where many people get it wrong. They think openness means full disclosure of every detail. Every name, every story, every comparison, every memory. It doesn't. Openness is not the same as oversharing. There is a difference between honesty and emotional exposure without purpose. There is a difference between transparency and reopening wounds that do not need to bleed again. A healthy relationship does not require you to hand over your entire past like evidence on a table. It requires you to share what is relevant, what informs your present, and what helps your partner understand you better. Because the goal of openness is not information. The goal is trust. Trust grows when we feel safe. And safety is built when both people feel respected, not interrogated. If openness about past relationships is driven by fear, jealousy, or control, it will harm the relationship. If it is driven by curiosity mixed with insecurity, it will often lead to comparison. And comparison is one of the quiet killers of love. Because the moment you begin measuring yourself against someone from your partner's past, you stop seeing yourself clearly. You start asking questions that have no satisfying answers. Were they better than me? Were they more exciting, more attractive, more loved? And the truth is, even if you received answers, they would never bring peace. Because love is not a competition across timelines. It is a choice made in the present. Your partner is not with their past. They are with you. And yet, avoiding all conversations about the past can also create distance. Silence can become a wall. When we refuse to talk about past relationships at all, we sometimes send an unintentional message. That the past is shameful. That it is dangerous. That it cannot be acknowledged without threat. But love does not thrive in silence. It thrives in understanding. When a partner shares, in a thoughtful and measured way, about past experiences that shaped them, it can deepen intimacy. You begin to understand why certain things trigger them. Why they need reassurance in specific moments. Why they fear abandonment, or conflict, or emotional withdrawal. You realize that their reactions are not about you alone. They are echoes of lessons learned long ago. And this understanding creates compassion. It shifts the relationship from assumption to empathy. However, openness must be mutual and voluntary. No one should feel pressured to reveal more than they are ready to share. A relationship is not strengthened by forcing vulnerability. Vulnerability must be invited, not demanded. And here is something important that many people overlook. Timing matters. What is appropriate to share early in a relationship may be very different from what feels right years later. Trust develops in layers. Emotional intimacy deepens gradually. Revealing deeply personal aspects of past relationships too early can overwhelm the connection. It can create emotional shortcuts that feel intense but lack stability. On the other hand, refusing to ever open up can keep a relationship stuck on the surface. Balance is key, and balance comes from intention. Ask yourself, why do I want to share this? Is it to help my partner understand me better? Or is it to relieve my own guilt? Or is it to provoke a reaction? Or to test their jealousy? Or to seek validation? And if you are the one asking questions, ask yourself the same. Why do I want to know this? Is it to feel closer? Or is it to compare? Or to control? Or to ease my own insecurity? Honesty with yourself is the foundation of healthy honesty with each other. Another truth we must face is this. Everyone has a right to a past. Your partner did not owe you fidelity before they met you. They did not owe you emotional exclusivity before you existed in their life. Expecting someone to erase their history or apologize for it is not love. It is possession. Love does not demand erasure. Love invites presence. When couples struggle with openness about past relationships, it is often not the past that is the real issue. It is the present insecurity. It is the fear of not being enough. The fear of being replaced. The fear that love is conditional and temporary. And those fears deserve compassion, not judgment. But they also deserve responsibility. Because your partner cannot heal insecurities that are not theirs to carry. They can reassure you. They can be patient. They can show consistency and commitment. But they cannot rewrite history to make you feel safe. Safety must also come from within. And here is where openness can become a healing tool rather than a weapon. When shared correctly, past relationship stories can remind both partners of how far they have come. They can highlight growth. They can reveal patterns that no longer serve. They can show resilience. They can show what love taught, what heartbreak refined, what mistakes corrected. But they must be shared without glorification. Speaking of exes with excessive nostalgia, admiration, or unresolved emotion will understandably create discomfort. Because openness without closure is not transparency. It is emotional leakage. If someone is still emotionally entangled with their past, no amount of honesty will make the present relationship feel secure. That is why the real question is not simply whether couples should be open about past relationships. The deeper question is whether those past relationships have been processed, healed, and integrated. You cannot build a healthy present on unhealed history. Openness works best when the past has been accepted, not romanticized or resented. When it has been learned from, not lived in. And for the partner listening, openness requires maturity. It requires the ability to listen without turning information into ammunition. It requires resisting the urge to bring up past details during arguments. Because once something is shared in vulnerability, it should never be used as a weapon. Trust breaks not when secrets exist, but when safety disappears. So what does healthy openness actually look like? It looks like sharing lessons, not explicit details. It looks like explaining patterns, not replaying scenes. It looks like acknowledging past pain without transferring it. It looks like saying, this is what I learned, this is how I grew, and this is why I show up the way I do now. It looks like curiosity paired with kindness. And it looks like boundaries. Yes, boundaries even in honesty. Some details are simply not necessary. They add no value to the relationship. They do not increase understanding. They only increase imagery and comparison. Love does not require mental pictures of what came before. It requires emotional presence now. And when both partners respect that, openness becomes empowering rather than destabilizing. There is also a profound truth that must be spoken. You do not need to know everything about someone's past to love them deeply. Love is not built on exhaustive knowledge. It is built on consistent care. It is built on how someone treats you today. How they listen. How they show up when it's hard. How they choose you, again and again, in small moments that matter. The past explains, but it does not define the future unless we allow it to. So should couples be open about past relationships? Yes, when openness is rooted in trust, not fear. Yes, when it serves understanding, not insecurity. Yes, when it honors boundaries, not violates them. Yes, when it deepens connection, not fuels comparison. And no, when it is driven by control, obsession, or unresolved wounds. No, when it turns love into an interrogation. No, when it replaces presence with preoccupation. The healthiest couples are not those who know everything about each other's past. They are the ones who know how to hold each other in the present. They know when to speak and when to protect. When to share and when to let sleeping memories rest. They understand that love is not about competing with history, but about creating something new. Something alive. Something intentional. Something grounded in now. At the end of the day, the past is a teacher, not a threat. And when couples approach it with wisdom, humility, and care, openness does not weaken love. It strengthens it. Because real intimacy is not about knowing every detail. It is about being trusted with what matters most. And being worthy of that trust.